So we go to a roundtable discussion. The presenters of the Anji Bank asked if we can share a bit more after the meeting, because obviously this meeting is interested in many and also among the presenters. So maybe we could do a bit more mutual sharing and at least the presentation. So we made the question as here: what are the possible bamboo sector development models and investment project approaches for West Africa at present and in the near future? As I mentioned in the start, the immediate market for Africa is 2% of the share of international trade import. So these are really important to have in mind, that these are more likely to have markets. Now I would like to ask the Bank of Anji if you can answer this question.
First of all, we can offer people in West Africa a chance to come to Anji. We can give them training support and the technique support. And if people if they need, we can also invest the companies in the West Africa. For the government in the West Africa, we suggest that they could make some laws and regulations, such as forbidding the excessive deforestation to raise people's awareness of protecting the bamboo forest. And take Anji for example. Currently the tourism of the bamboo in Anji has developed, and we suggest we can also develop the tourism concerning with the bamboo and bamboo products.
Very well. Any more suggestions from Mr. Liang?
I got something to say. My father, he owns a private sector, bamboo sector. So I believe maybe you guys have been there in Anji. So my thing is that you really shouldn't give up. Give up your hope. Even there's a very tough time for you, because environment is the vital thing for everybody, especially for human beings. So you really should care about your environment and the things you can use for. So just take the chance and protect the environment and take everything you can use. Just carry the hope and go carry on.
Thank you. That is really valuable remarks and suggestions.
Again, thanks for having me, and I just shared my email address, so if there's any questions or comments, please let me know. And then on the questions or question, so for us, I mean, you mentioned the different products like charcoal or spoons or things like this. I don't think we have a clear preference. What's important for us is that there's a view of a self-sustainable company, right? So what we have done, for example, with smaller companies that are maybe profitable but very small, we have done pilot projects to see how this can be grown and be done on a larger scale. So there's not one specific model that we're looking at, but in the end, we need a market, and we don't want it. So you have product risk and market risk, and we don't want to take the full risk on both sides, right? So if we have a proven product, then we might want to take a bit more market risk, for example, in our investment. But if a product is only done on a very small scale, for example, handmade, and now we need to do it on a larger scale with a machine that has never been proven, then there's also a lot of product risk. And then we might want to lean more to an offtake agreement or an agreement with a buyer for at least 1 or 2 years for a minimum number of products. So I think that's how we look at it. So we really try to understand where's the risk and what can we get comfortable with, and what can we mitigate. And some things you cannot mitigate and you have to take a risk. So that's on a case-by-case basis what we look at. How much risk can we take? What have other markets done? Other countries done? So this is the way we look at it.
May I ask one question more based on what you have just told us? Could you maybe tell us the success stories? I mean, not only bamboo, but in a likely vulnerable environment, but you have succeeded to discover the opportunities and also brought it into a sustainable business and also the regional development. I'm quite interested in the Indonesian bamboo project that you have started. If you could share with us some indicators and the progresses, that would be really interesting.
So on the Indonesian example, so there we had a company which was working. They had they had their own plantation, and they were working with a smaller group of outgrowers. So with farmers with their own bamboo plantations nearby. And what we have helped with them there is we have a 5-year offtake agreement with quite a well-known Western interior design company that most at least Europeans have gone through. So there we have a long-term offtake agreement for a minimum amount. So the only thing we're nervous about there is the scaling up, right? So there is a market. We know there is someone that's going to buy our products. However, now we need to go from X to 10 times X in the number of products that we're going to produce. And therefore, we need to have the whole region is sort of benefiting from this project because we guarantee all the farmers in a certain radius around our production mill we guarantee them that we are going to buy their bamboo. So also the farmers can take more risk now with growing more or maybe taking a slightly better species because we guarantee them that we're going to buy their bamboo. And I think that's that way you can really take people one step up, right? If you say, listen, if you don't need to take that much risk, here we lend you money to buy fertilizer or to buy a special seedling, and we guarantee you that we're going to buy your bamboo for the coming 5 years.
When you are sure that there's a market, then you can make let's say the scoping deals. Is that right?
Yeah, exactly. So it's not just for us, for our buyer, but also us as a manufacturer. We also guarantee the buying of the bamboo product. So it goes all the way down the chain. So I think that's a really nice example.
Mm.
And we have done the same with I gave coffee example in Western Africa. We're working on a cocoa example as well, and there we're trying to bring people into agroforestry. So for example, from coffee or pure cacao to a combination. So this improves their situation, but often the problem is that there's a gap of 2 to 3 years, right? Bamboo grows very fast. But unfortunately, we don't have bamboo examples. But coffee takes a long time before you get and especially the trees take 10 years. So there we help, for example, because at least we feel sufficiently comfortable that there's a coffee market and that there's an organic coffee market. So there we're willing to take the market risk. So there. We are helping the farmers through different farmer organizations to help them with the gap for the first 3 years, 2 to 3 years, where there's income loss. So we get them a loan, for example, and help them with the right fertilizers and right seeds. And that has also worked quite well. There is success stories. For us, we need sufficient scale.
If you mentioned that coffee trees that takes 10 years before it can deliver, and think that the major agroforestry that you might operating, for example, for the coffee, bamboo can help it to get quicker the result, because it's also very flexible. It also protects the mountains, and it can deliver not only the poles. And you can ask entrepreneurs from Anji, and that they can tell you how you can use bamboo in its whole, in every part, and also in high value products. For example, the bamboo activated carbon. So there are many options that you can take bamboo related development as major or secondary activities, both for restoration, cultivation to protect the property, but also for strengthen its productivity.
Yeah,
okay.
No, we definitely see a lot of potential.
And also the carbon trade is now really coming up, and I have received different interest and also inquiries from the bank sector. And I have to say that the Hong Kong trade is moving a bit faster, because I have a little bit more concrete inquiries for banking experts there, how to make a carbon trade, because that's an extra income, which many big enterprises have to buy from the agroforestry sector. So
yeah, you can forward me any questions of if there's anything I can still do, please.
We have an important stakeholder, Mr. Tan-Sak Oke, from the UN Organization of Trade and Commodities.
My name is Tan-Sak. I work at the United Nations Conference on Trade and Development. I just wanted to add to the very valuable remarks and the presentations already made today. My organization will be producing 2 new reports on bamboo very soon. One is the Commodities at a Glance bamboo, special series on bamboo. And the other one is on the bamboo construction value chain in Cameroon, which is a country just neighboring the West Africa region, the West African countries group that we discussed today. So in terms of some key thoughts that I wanted to share, also based on the work that we have done on the reports, very quickly. One important step, I think, is to get to know the physical and mechanical properties of bamboo and to position it well in connection to traditional construction materials like timber, concrete, steel, and the others. So in our Commodities at a Glance report, we will have lots of details on the different characteristics of these materials in terms of elasticity, compression, flexure, and so on. So in terms of regulation, in terms of main physical and mechanical properties, we think that it is important to mainstream bamboo as a construction material in terms of regulatory approval and also awareness raising. So in fact, in one of the previous INBAR webinars, it was in bamboo in Europe, there was the example where a presenter from Italy mentioned that it is more cumbersome to obtain a permission to use bamboo for constructing buildings than other materials. So for example, in West Africa, knowing that there is a big need for housing in the large cities, and there's a construction boom. There are many opportunities for using bamboo, and especially it should be possible to deploy bamboo when its physical and mechanical properties provide for superior qualities in comparison to other building materials. So the construction sector might be an entry point, for mainstreaming bamboo. Another key important point is that after all, bamboo is a big, it's an investment, and it requires quite a lot of effort to plant in high volumes, right? Especially from China and Anji County, the lesson that we all learn is that one should invest at large scale in bamboo if all parts of it will be used, right? Ideally, all parts of it should be used. So, for example, Anji County maximizes the utilization rates through the years. It has reached close to 100% utilization rate. Be it the leaf, top part, medium part, or so different parts of bamboo. And in our report, we also elaborate on the different uses of the different parts of bamboo. And then also another key point, as Ivan just now also mentioned, is to develop a sound strategy in terms of understanding the supply and demand dynamics. So again, from China, one lesson learned is that there is the Anji International Trade Office that catalyzed the commercialization of bamboo, and it enabled a kind of demand pull strategy whereby it identified the demand from abroad and utilized the bamboo resources from across China. So this is another important learning. So I just wanted to share these couple of points, and thank you very much for the time.
Thank you. That was very helpful.
Very worthwhile.
One little point to add to your comments on the materials, because in Africa, the tropical bamboos, they are smaller than the mossel. So experts from Anji, Mr. Zhang from the agroforestry department, and he explained that some bamboo manufacturing machines already reached Africa. But the problem is that they are not always suitable for local bamboos. These has to be made tailored, and also their characteristics are different than mossel. So these tropicals, they're smaller and they may be better for the paper, and also except for the construction.
Yes, one thing I wanted to add is that, especially in terms of West Africa, we know that there is the project on the Great Green Wall. The resources, the timber and tree resources are important in terms of their use also in the context of the Great Green Wall. So maybe if bamboo becomes more mainstream as construction material, then the other trees can be then used in the Great Green Wall.
Yeah. Exactly. That's what we want. Replace. Yes. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay.
Yes. So what I'll say is, for people who want to come and invest in West Africa, I think for many of the businesses, it's having that ready market to make it financially viable almost immediately. So having, if the investment that is coming in is from 1 to 5 million, you need to have business that will also keep that traction going. Because really and truly in Africa, it's 3 months you have to start making money. Otherwise, you're never going to make money. So I'll say that for the investors who want to come in, especially in West Africa, it should be about tying the projects to markets right away. It should come with the financing as well. For the businesses who are doing bamboo in West Africa, I think one essential part is to collaborate, not only with people in the bamboo space, but with the communities they are working in. From the farmers to whoever they will be working with, it's very, very crucial to collaborate, because your raw material base is your feedstock base is very essential, and you need other people involved. You cannot do it all by yourself. So to make all these things sustainable, it's important for all of us businesses to look at who we or where we want to play in the value or supply chain of bamboo business. is one of the things a lot of companies are doing everything, and that is not very sustainable in the long run. So I will suggest that the companies here focus on building with other people, growing with other people together. And then for the investors, I'll say that as you're coming in, it's important that if there are markets within your markets where you think there will be some collaboration, bring that to the table. Developing markets in Africa is pretty straightforward, but sometimes it takes a while for people to come along. So it's some of the things that one could look at so that it's very sustainable. Yeah. So for sustainability, that customer part, that where the product is going part is so essential. It's so essential.
Yes.
Yeah, and that's it. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
What is a great opportunity is because we are now in the energy transition from fossil fuels towards sustainable energy. And we will need, in order to make the transition as fast as possible, in order to avoid also too harsh climate change effects, we will need lots of biofuels. Will be very useful. And bamboo has potentially a big capacity of using bamboo to produce biofuels, either be it pellets or be it gasified or even bioethanol and so on. This requires, let's say, relatively large amounts of bamboo, so large plantations or areas where you have a lot of naturally occurring bamboo which can be processed. This also needs access to transport, to roads. There are a number of conditions that have to be fulfilled, and those investments are huge investments, and you need huge companies to get involved in this. There is in several countries in Africa, Angola is one country where it's talking about large plantations. Also in Zambia, they're already working on that. And at the same time, those plantations could also gain income from carbon sequestration funds from the voluntary market. In my opinion, this is a very promising sector for large investments, and but not easy to set up, and a number of conditions have to be fulfilled. For West Africa, they should have even smaller companies have opportunities to make progress for the Western European market, and it might not be that easy because there's a high competition with Asian countries, but still they should be able to obtain part of the market, and the market is still growing as well, so that there's also chances there. On the other hand, for let's say smaller African-based companies who can then grow slowly to bigger companies. Okay, that's what I think is to me things to look at.
Okay, thanks.
It's a great opportunity for us to develop the wood fuel sector, and using bamboo stands out tall because again, it offers kind of a green fuel to solve these climate issues. It also can help regenerate itself as fast as possible, unlike compared with the increasing cost of LPG, that's liquefied petroleum charcoal, and then firewood as an alternative to the high prices of gas. The wood fuel will continue to be a source of energy for many rural folks, and even the urban centers, or those who are the urban poor, they will continue to use wood fuels. So West Africa, especially the investors, if we are trying to promote sustainability of our forest, then we cannot neglect the wood fuel component of using bamboo to curb that challenge. And we have them abundant in the system, and so we have to get them for people to understand this, advertising its application and its uses in many West African countries. So that's a good opportunity for people to invest in that sector for us.